सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Now, any questions, clarifications before we go ahead? Okay. All clear up to now? Then, after having given all those examples to show what is mithya, what is satyam, etc., he goes ahead bringing in the pramana of the Shruti. Okay, because one thing one has to keep in mind is we cannot leave the pramana out and come to any conclusion. They'll become speculative at the most. Okay. They'll be purely speculative. There is no basis for that. Okay. Yeah. It will become just a viewpoint. Some intellectuals sat down and thought about something and had a viewpoint. And the viewpoint is about something that's not available for perception, etc. Then how valid is that speculation? Like if you are speculating on the state of the society, there is some data available. So even if you don't agree with the conclusions, there is some validity because there is some logic, etc. used. There's some validity there. You may agree, you may not agree. That's okay. I mean, that's freedom of thinking available for people. But when you are speculating on something for which there is no data, there is no validity for that speculation. That's what exactly happens with various philosophies, etc. There is no validity for it. Where is the validity? Validity itself is not there. Okay. So now here he quotes the pramana, okay, and says, साक्षादेव स विज्ञेयः साक्षादात्मे च श्रुतेः विद्यते हृदय ग्रंथिः न चेत्यादि इतः श्रुतेः. साक्षादेव स विज्ञेयः साक्षात् आत्मेति च श्रुतेः. That Brahman that you are seeking, the consciousness that you is Sakshat Atmeva. It is to be directly recognized as the Atma. Okay? Sakshat Atmeti Shrutehe. Why the Shruti says it? Yat Sakshat Aprokshat Tad Brahma. It's a very beautiful expression, in the sense, what is directly known to you without the necessity of any pramana. What is directly known to you without the need, without the need for any pramana? Yourself, the I. See, this is an important point, not merely a technical point. This is an important point in the understanding of Vedanta because, and not only in the understanding of Vedanta, as a fact of life. Unless the knower is independently established, he will not be able to use a means of knowledge to know anything. If I have to use a means of knowledge to know something, then that I, the knower who is using the means of knowledge, has to be independently established. I cannot depend upon the telescope to establish me before I can use the telescope. Can I? I have to be self-evident, self-existing. This is a fact. This is not something that Vedanta is presenting or a speculative philosophy is presenting. This is a fact. Directly verifiable. How do you know you are? is self-evident. Sakshad Aproksham. Aproksha meaning that which is directly recognizable. Okay, now many of you have heard Pujya Swamiji, and also in some Vedanta works, we will divide all knowledge into what is Pratyaksha. This book, Pratyaksha, directly available for my perception. Paroksha, away from your eyes. Akshat Paraha, away from your perception. Like if I was going to talk about Gomukh, it's away from your perception. So whatever I talk about Gomukh, okay, will be have to be taken in good faith. It is indirect knowledge, not direct knowledge. Why indirect knowledge? Because I have been there. For me it is direct knowledge. I am remembering my direct knowledge. For others who have not come with me or gone by themselves, it is indirect knowledge. Paroksha. Then the self-recognition, I am. It is not an object of perception. It's not an object of perception. It is the I that is using perception. It is the I that is using direct and indirect means of knowledge. Both. Therefore, it is not an object of perception. Therefore, we will use the term aparoksha for it. This is the norm. When we are studying the Prasthanatraya, this is the norm that we follow. But now this class is poised to study higher texts. There you will find very often Pratyaksha and Aparoksha used interchangeably. Okay, you will find that in some of the higher texts that we will study after this. You will find that Pratyaksha and Aparoksha is used interchangeably. Contextually, we have to understand what it is referring to. Okay? Keep that in mind. Here, in this context, yes, Sakshad Aparokshat Tad Atmeti cha Shrutehe, that which is directly recognized, that is nothing but the Atma, pure consciousness. The pramana comes here. I know that I am, I don't know what I am. It's only here the pramana comes in. To know what exactly I am. Because I don't know myself. That you don't know yourself is also evident. It's Anubhava Siddham. Your own experience shows that. Why? Because you yourself have so many opinions about yourself. And you keep trying to change those opinions. You go to all the workshops that are available, they're all trying to change your opinion about yourself. Not really change. Basic opinion continues. You are the body, mind continues. That you are the body and mind continues. What changes? You enhance that body, you enhance that mind, you enhance. They're only meant for enhancing of your opinions, isn't it? Even some of the workshops I do for greater competency for people, etc., are only enhancing that. That's the nature of things. Why? Some growth is necessary. So, for what is growth? Where your body and mind is concerned. No? Body growth happens anyway without you paying attention to it. Yeah. You just have to survive. Mind growth. So therefore you have to pay attention. Mind doesn't grow by itself, nor by experiences. You have to really analyze experiences, have some learning from them. Then you will grow. So all the knowledge that you gain in the world from what you have gone through in the world are all meant to grow. Hopefully. Yeah. Grow, okay, remember that. I know this guy who had 2 relationships, it didn't work out. So I thought I'll help him out because he came to me. I said, what have you learned from this relationship? Women can't be trusted. I said, well, I have a long job ahead of me. If that is his conclusion, I'm never going to get into relationships again. That can be a choice, that you don't get into a relationship again, only if it is not coming from a reactive standpoint. When it comes from pain, hurt, etc., it's a reactive standpoint. It doesn't work. So, that growth doesn't happen just because you went through experiences. You have to draw out learning from there, and not this type of distorted thinking and learning. So, that growth, yes, Pariksha Lokan gives you that growth. After that growth has happened, then the pramana has to come in to understand what exactly you are, who is this person who is trying to grow. Therefore, the pramana comes in to say, that is that limitless consciousness free from time and space. It's only here that the pramana works. Up to you come to this point, Vedanta is only helping you with your growth. Because Vedanta recognizes that everyone coming may not have had that growth. Especially in books like Prakarana Granthas, Gita, etc., we will say that because we will help their growth. Even in the Upanishad, here and there, you will find some statements helping you to grow. Okay? Because it becomes necessary. Because we have not always examined ourselves. Our own biases, etc., are not examined. Yeah. We are not. We think we are objective. But we all have huge subjective components in us. As long as you are aware of that and you know how to keep it aside, you are fine. If you don't know to do that, you are in a problem. Growth is not there. Yeah. And all that comes from our experiences of life, from our cultural backgrounds, from our intellectual backgrounds. Cultural conditionings are easy to drop. You ask an Indian Brahmin boy who would never have touched meat in his life, what happens to him when he goes to California to study? 6 months, all the conditioning is gone. But intellectual conditioning take a lot longer. Because now I have thought and come to this conclusion. Forgetting the bias in which that I was exposed to. What a great writer he is, yeah. Have you seen his bias? Yeah. I see it happening all the time. Yeah, I see it happening all the time. That's one good thing of sitting in one place and teaching for 30, 40 years, you know. You see so many biases come and go. And there are traditional biases also. Orthodox biases. Not traditional, orthodox. Like this particular group, Advaita Academy, asked me to whether I will join their group. I said, okay, maybe some intellectual discussions can take place because other speakers are also. Of course, I also knew that some speakers are okay. Like if a speaker goes and says that there are Sthita Prajnas in corporate heads, I know how stupid that statement is. Because I had done training for 100 corporates and I not won one Sthita Prajna. More than 100 now. Not one Sthita Prajna. He is a good Karma Yogi. Oh wow, great. He will make a great CEO. Yeah. Sthita Prajna bahut duram. Forget it. In fact, for all you know, Sthita Prajna may not be a good CEO. Anyway, so there are some people like that. So I'm talking about an orthodox base. So somebody made a comment there that the more I am looking into the Shastra, the more I am seeing how Varnashrama Dharma is valid based on Janma. So I said, now this is a dangerous statement. So I just, and he is supposed to be a scholar, so I sent a message reminding him. I said, do you remember Krishna saying in the Gita that it is based on guna and karma, not on Janma? So that man who made the comment said, yes, Swamiji, I had forgotten that verse, I'll think about it. Yeah. But another orthodox character jumps into the fray. He says, this is exactly why I left AVG. I will expose Chinmaya Mission also. They are giving, they don't have anything other than Prasthanatraya with them. The Prasthanatraya is the basis for Vedanta. What else is there? Prasthanatraya is the absolute fundamental basis not only for Vedanta, also for Hinduism. But we have only that. Okay. I said, wow, you don't know me from Adam, but you are already sitting in judgment. That I have only the Prasthanatraya, I have much more. Then he says, I am going to expose all this. They are giving sannyasa to women, to non-adhikaris. From where did all this come up? Okay, the discussion went on and then he piped down because too many people jumped on him. I didn't. I was very kind to him because I recognized that there is a problem inside. There is too much of anger and frustration. The young man, if you come across him on your Facebook, this thing, be careful what he says. Pandit Hirain Trivedi. That is his name. Okay, Pandit Hirain Trivedi. And since the Facebook was a public forum, I can mention his name in public. Otherwise, normally I wouldn't mention names in public. But since it's a public forum, I am mentioning that. Okay. What I am trying to say is, now here is a person with an orthodox bias who cannot recognize he is that orthodox bias. So an orthodox bias can be there. A secular bias can be there. A leftist bias can be there. Because all of us during our college days were exposed to leftist thinking. Naturally. We are caring people. And if you are caring people, communism does appeal. Because it talks about classless society, everyone being equal, etc. It appeals to you. But it takes some understanding to see how it doesn't work. Yeah, I was hardcore communist for 6 months in my life. Then I studied all the thing. I found, because when I get involved in anything, I study what it is about. Otherwise, I won't get involved. Why should I get involved? If I get involved, it's worth it getting involved. So when I studied the works on communism, I said, this doesn't work. It's a failed philosophy. Even though that time we were very leftist in many things, very socialistic at least in many things. But I said this won't work. This won't work. I recognized it then. But many people don't. They carry their activist, leftist thinking with them in life. Nothing wrong in being an activist. We need activists in society. But that leftist thinking, that bias one has to learn to drop when one comes studies Vedanta. That's all I'm saying. That orthodox bias we have to learn to drop. That leftist bias we have to learn to drop. So all these biases we have to learn to drop, because Vedanta is about dropping things. If you are liberal, you will have a pro-Islamic bias. If you are Orthodox Hindu, you will have a pro-rightist bias. Rightist, pro-Hindu bias. Anti-Islamic bias. Which is used very positively as Islamophobia all over the world. All that we discussed yesterday's Gita class also. Anyone wants to look into that, look into the video. So all these biases that I have, all these biases that I have, one has to learn to see that and be free from it. Be free from it. And the problem of a bias is, you only become reactive, you will not do anything positive. That is the problem. That is the problem. What is the positive thing you are doing? Even you are a patriot, very good, you consider yourself a patriot. What have you done for the nation? What have you done? All that I have done I can't talk about, unfortunately. I'm a little concerned how much they will declassify after 50 years. Anyway. So, it's just not enough to have a bias and be reactive. If you really believe in something, do something about it. At least when you are studying Vedanta, drop that bias and look at it without this. And that is important. Because yes, Sakshat Aparokshat Tad Brahmaiti. You have to, you remember one Upanishad we saw? Paranchikani Vyatirnak Swayambhu Paran Pashyati Nantaratmaha Kaschid Dhiraha Avrata Chakshuhu Atmanam Pashyata. You remember which Upanishad it is from? Yaad hai? We studied it here in the class. Of course, some time back.
Kathopanishad.
Kathopanishad, yes. Kathopanishad. Yes, Deepa, you're right. Yeah. Kathopanishad. Because our focus is on the outside world. Even to turn the spotlights inside, to understand my psychological reality is difficult for people. My psychological reality. It's only then growth happens. After that, to come to the pramana and see Sakshat Aparokshad Atmeti, that consciousness is nothing but myself. What I seek as Brahman, as that freedom from limitation, as that joy and fulfillment in life, is nothing but my own Swarupa. Okay, that is important. And if you know that, he says, he is saying the prayojanam, the phalam, the result. Why? Because we are all result oriented people. No? Unless you have that other bias. Because you have studied modern Vedanta. Karma Yoga, they are not expecting results. And somewhere idiotically you go about in life without expecting results. I don't know how you do it. Only an idiot can do that. Sometimes I would like to harness that idiot, but I cannot exploit people even if they are coming and begging me to exploit them, I will say, come, work for my trust, do all these things. There are so many things to be done. I need help. And anyway, you're working without expecting any results, so you'll work free for me. Take care of my accounts, take care of my paperwork. It's a big headache. For someone like me, okay? For someone else, it may be great fun also. They're very efficient in that. Not me. I am not. This comes from my background, my bias. The technical man's dislike for paperwork. Engineers don't like paperwork. So it goes with that. That I'm telling you, this is my bias. I have a large open self. I can talk about myself without problems, okay, and my faults without issues. So this, because we are result-oriented and we focus on what we are going to gain out of life, he says, vidyate hridaya grantihi nached ityadi ita shrutaha. Okay. Okay. He says, vidyate hridaya grantihi chidyante sarva samshayaha क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि तस्मिन् दृष्टे परावरे. Avare paradrishte in the lower one, which I had taken myself to be the ahankara. Paraha drishte sati, if I see the absolute. Vidyate hridaya granthi chidyante sarva samshaya. Kshiyante chasya karmani. Familiar verse? Which Upanishad? अभी ऐसा थोड़ा पूछना पड़ेगा है ना, because this class is getting ready for higher texts, so you have to remember what we have gone before. I mean, I don't want verse numbers and things like that. No. Even I don't remember.
Mundaka Upanishad.
Mundaka Upanishad. Yeah. Mundaka Upanishad. Yeah. Okay. Vidyate hridaya grantihi. What is hridaya grantihi? Avidya kama karma. This is hridaya granthi. The knots of the heart. Okay, it's an expression. Okay, it's an alankara, a poetical expression. Okay, avidya, my sense of ignorance about myself. That's the main thing. Okay, because there is avidya, I have a self-judgment about myself, and the self-judgment is always short of the infinite. However much of a megalomaniac you are not going to think I am infinite. You are always going to take yourself as a limited entity. That self-judgment is natural because of avidya. That is how the ahankara comes about. Your conceptual self. Purely judgment oriented, purely conceptual, an idea, based of course on what you are, but based on what your mind and body is, not on what you really are. So this conceptual self now you have. If I am a finite being, I am really speaking the infinite, not the finite. Therefore, I will struggle against that notion. I will struggle against that notion by wanting to be bigger than what I am. That's why everyone wants to grow. They don't know how to grow, therefore they'll make their businesses grow. Their work grow. Because the self-judgment comes from that standpoint, big standpoint. A big area of our self-judgment is what we do. What we do is a big area of self-judgment. Therefore, we will try to make that grow. No, Swamiji, my self-judgment doesn't come from that. It comes from my learning, my knowledge. Therefore, you will try to learn everything under the sun and become really a confused guy. Because so much of information has gone in, there has not been enough time for analysis of that information. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. Therefore, this getting rid of my finitude will express itself as what? Kama. So when there is kama is there, dvesha also will be there. Okay. You want to get something, you want to get rid of something. My wife I want, kama. Mother, her mother I don't want to get rid of. Example. I'm not saying everyone is like that. I know some son-in-laws who are better than sons also. And some of them present here, okay. Yeah. Therefore, avidya, kama. And if you have kama, even if you are a lazy guy with a lot of fantasies in your mind, some action you will do. However lazy you are, some action you will do. Karma will come into the picture. Your desires inside will impel you to do something. Karma means janma. Janma means more sense of finitude, more kamas, more karmas. Naisargikoyam loka vyavahara. Adhyasa Bhashya. This is how the endless, the beginningless loka vyavahara goes on, based on avidya, kama, karma. Because of avidya, the adhyasa of ahankara. And ahankara is finite, therefore kama, karma. Karma, janma. Barabar chakkar mein. That he says vidyate. Why? Ignorance gone. That adhyasa is real, gone. Baditam. Adhyasa is baditam. Therefore, kama and karma equally baditam. Another word, non-binding for baditam. Non-binding. Baditam syam. Negative. Like the flat earth or the rising sun, you can enjoy the sunrise and the sunset, not worried about it. Baditam syat. Therefore, this is phalam of Vedanta, that you discover yourself to be Ananda Sarupaha. For that, Chidyante sarva samshayaha. Don't say I have doubts but I know Vedanta. Okay? And to appear knowledgeable, don't deny your doubts either. Both are problems. That's why I respect these few students I know. Couple of them are my students. Couple of them are not my students, but they recognize me as someone senior to them. That's all. They are teachers in their own right. But they'll always come and check up with me. Swamiji, I thought about this. I'm not sure whether I'm on the right track or not. I say, wow. I have a great respect for them because they are teachers in their own right, but they are still willing to go to another Guru Bhai and check up. Because I don't treat people as senior, junior. Why? I take the Rishikesh stand. जो तीनों काल अतीत है उसको सीनियर जूनियर क्या है? When you are beyond the 3 periods of time, where is senior junior? Yeah, really. Yeah, what is the seniority maximum? I have walked that path a few years before you. That's all. इतना ही ना. इतना ही बात है. इतना ही बात है. But I respect the people who can do that. That takes something out of them. Yeah, that takes something. Yeah. In fact, one of them is a very famous yoga teacher based in States, USA. He says, Swamiji, where are your videos gone? I can't find your website. We need those videos here. I said, hold on. It's all on YouTube. Go there and get it. You'll get it. All the videos are up there also. So don't worry. It's there. But to that extent, that humility. Impressive. Why? Because ahankara has gone. Negated. That shows that. Even though there may be a few doubts here and there, they have seen their ahankara as baditam. Whereas I have some of my own students who will try to hide their biases from me. Because I don't want him to know I have this bias. Come on. Whom are you talking to? There I will have to assert my seniority and say, hey, come on. I've been sitting on this trail for a long time, okay? You're not the first one who will try to hide it, and now will you be the last one who will try to hide it? That's okay, I know that. I will let them save face, but I know, idhar theek hai. Because it comes from the need that the Guru should think nicely of them. But if you are sure that the Guru is not judgmental, he is compassionate, he will accept you for what you are, he will love you for what you are, then there is no problems. Yeah. Then there is no issue. But that takes a little time to come. Yeah. And that's okay if it takes time, because that's a natural process. If you are going to jump in with anyone first and say, oh yeah, I can, then you are too gullible. You are too gullible. That's not healthy. That's not. You have to strike a balance. Therefore, that doubt, etc. Chidyante sarva samshayaha. I have not forgotten from where I started, okay? I am saying what things my students need. Therefore, everyone who sees this video on YouTube, why is he digressing so much? No, students need it, that's why the digression. Digression is not a digression. It is taking care of issues that are involved. Okay. Chidyante sarva samshaya. Kshiyante chasya karmani. All karmas are negated because karma stood in the account of the adhyasavan purushaha. Of the character who took himself to be a finite entity. A finite entity is negated. What is there is nothing but limitless consciousness. What karma is there? But Swamiji, prarabdha karma is there now for the body. For the body it is there, yes. Therefore, a little bit taking care of the body is healthy. Why? Otherwise, you will give a trouble to a lot of other people around you. You won't give yourself trouble because you are Ananda. So, Ananda has a troubled body. So, what's the problem? Your effectiveness as functioning may be compromised a bit. That's all. Otherwise, there is no issue. So, what? So, what if my effectiveness as functioning is compromised? What difference does it make? I am Ananda, na? Mera kaam ho gaya. See, if effectiveness is compromised, the people who I can help, that is compromised. Yeah. So, since I don't want to do that, take care of the body. Yeah. That's all. But all karmas are gone. Shriyanti chasi karma. Phalam of Atma Jnana. Important to keep in mind. Because that will give your motivation. But for that you also have to see the limitation of your present life. The sense of limitation you suffer from. How your own inner reality is creating problems for you. Yeah. That's why a great man in India, whether you agree with everything he did or not, did one prayer, right? Sabko sanmati de Bhagavan. He said, he murdered that song. You know, Raghupati Raja Ram, if you see the original is so beautiful, he massacred it. Today's world, there would have been copyright issues. Yeah. How can you take an original song and massacre it like that? You can't do that. Not done. But one point he made there was very good. Sabko sanmati de Bhagwan. Give proper thinking and understanding to everyone. Correct? He should have added to myself also. Yeah, I should have added to myself also. Because he thought Ahimsa will work against Hitler. Come on. What was the poor Jews, women and children, 10-year-olds doing when they were led to the gas chamber? They were not resisting. They were all pure Ahimsa only. It didn't work. It didn't work. It will work only with people who have some degree of sensitivity in them. Not the Nazi parties. Some degree of sensitivity. For all their flaws, the British have some sensitivity. Yeah. Therefore, it worked against them to an extent. But a lot of Britishers, older Britishers, have told me one thing. Partly the reason for giving independence to India was not just what Gandhiji did. We were frightened by the call to rebellion given by Bose, Subhash Chandra Bose, to the Indian armed forces. If the Indian armed forces have rebelled against us, there is no way we could have survived. So we knew it was time to get out. So they preponed the getting out by 6 months. Before all the infrastructure was put in place. That's why the riots happened. And Nehru runs back and asks for help. Please help us to handle these riots. And Mountbatten said, that's your problem, not mine. All this is there in the archives if you have the time to look into it. But one thing I agree with that, man. Sabko sanmati de Bhagwan. Important. So that you can look and see how this is creating issues in your life and seek freedom from that. Freedom from that won't come by replacing one set of ideas with another set of ideas. Socialism by capitalism, capitalism by socialism, all isms like that, it won't work. Because everything is flawed. That's the nature of the world. Nothing is going to be perfect. It has to be flawed. So we will do what works for now in this thing. That's it. But here, recognize you are nothing but that consciousness which is Ananda. That's the only solution to the whole thing. And then in the world outside, do what works. Simple. I think I have to redo that. I had done 2 camps where I did 10 principles for living. One of them was this: do what works. Don't get stuck on what doesn't work. Just because I held that belief system for 20 years. It doesn't work anymore now. Drop it. Drop it. So I think it's time I repeated those 10 principles, because I don't think other than Manisha, Kamini and Nita Ben, anyone else here has even attended that. And I'm sure these 3 also don't remember all the 10 principles. Anyway, that's something that I will think when we can meet offline. We will see how much we can do this. Yeah. Anyway, that apart. So this is where the whole learning of Vedanta comes, and I'm spending time on this verse because it's important to recognize the global vision of Vedanta. Okay. And now, when he has said this much elaborately, typical Shankara style, he brings in a Purva-paksha, an objection. Okay, the next verse. And the beauty of when Shankara raises an objection, no? See, you can raise an objection from the standpoint of science, which is the modern Purva-paksha, really speaking. You can raise an objection from any of the modern philosophies. Dialectical materialism, okay, or the materialistic, capitalistic thinking, you can raise arguments against Vedanta from all that. But when Shankara raises an objection, he is smart. Okay. Which is actually not a compliment. When I say he is smart, I am bringing him down. He will use arguments of Vedanta against Vedanta. Arguments of Vedanta against Vedanta. Then now that takes something. Okay. Ashabdadaditattvato nasya grahanam chendriyair bhavet sukhadibhyasta tatha anyatvad athavapi katam bhavet. Shabdadi tatvataha nasya asya tatvataha shabdaditvad nasti. It is not an object of your words, etc., isn't it? Your Upanishad itself is saying that. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. From where the words came back, unable to objectify it, etc. We have seen that in two contexts. Remember which Upanishad? Taittiriya, yes. Taittiriya Upanishad. Two contexts.
In the last part of it.
One was from the context of the mind, the other from the context of the self. Though context are, if you don't remember the two contexts, go back and check it up. Okay. Ashabdit. Na asya grahanam chet indriyadibhi bhavet. Nor is it available for sense organs, etc. Something that is not available for sense organs, something that is not available for words, how are you going to know it? How are you going to know? No, Shabda Pramanam. Shabda Pramanam. Anything that is available for Shabda, in time will be available for sense organs also. What are you saying? Purvapaksha I am talking about, okay? I talk about Gomukh. Shabda Pramana. Here, Shabda will have to be taken as Apta. Apta Vakyam Pramana. In this context alone. Because worldly context, na? So I am saying Gomukh is like this, like this, like this, like this. What type of knowledge you will get? Paroksha Jnana, right? Indirect knowledge. But when will it become direct knowledge for you? When you go and see it. When you go to Gomukh and see it, it will become direct knowledge. That means what? What was revealed by Shabda became available for Indriya Grahanam, perception. Veda talks about heaven. Aisa. Sounds nice here. How will I get there? My visa, foreign exchange, etc. How will I get that? You have to do these things. Okay. Shraddha se kar lega. I am interested. Because on earth I have exhausted all holiday options, I have been to Turkey, Greece, etc. I have been to England, I have been to Alaska. I have been to Europe. Why do you want to go to Europe? Half of it is in ruins anyway. But no, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I went to Australia also, saw the great outbacks. What is there to see in the outbacks? Stretches and stretches and stretches of dry land. Okay, but I have seen it. I'm saying from my limited experience, okay? No, I'm at the roaring 60s, border of Antarctica, Shackleton Bay, etc. Great. What is there? One small little bay, minimal facilities available, but there's a history behind it. How the carpenter of a ship rescued this whole team that was stuck there. Great. Well, there is history behind it. But for history, seeing history, why should I go all the way there? You know how much history is there in every grain of sand in this country? Anyway, but our Paranchikani, remember, we have to go outside and see everything other than our place. And you've seen all of them. Therefore, now, Swarga, watch out, here I come. ठीक है बाबा, you went there. It was only Shabda Pramanam that you had. But when you went there, it became direct perception, na? Acha, this is what Soma tastes like. Better than single malt here. Or, I prefer single malt because 50 years he has been taking only single malt. Sorry, 50 years, by the time he goes there, single malt has not been there for 50 years, at least I don't think so. I'm not an expert on these wines and things like that. Okay. Whatever. If you're asking about single chocolate, single origin chocolate, I'll tell you. That I know better. Okay. Anyway, jokes apart. When you went there, it became direct perception. Na?
Swamiji, can I ask something?
Yeah.
So when you talk from your memory, like you have been to Gaumukh and you're talking from your memory then later on.
Yeah.
So for you it is for
Direct
you, it
knowledge.
will still be prataksha only, even though you are talking from your
Exactly.
memory.
For the people who are listening, it is Shabdam. Then he is an American who says American cannot go to Swarga. He did all the rituals, he went. Oh, these are the famous beauties. Ramba Urvashi. You know. Remember, he is an American. Coming from the American cultural context. First time into heaven. A tad on the heavier side for me. Because American idea of beauty is skinny, waif-like. The critical mind will go there also. What I am saying is, what the Purvapaksha is, if it is purely by Shabda and it is not available for Indriya Grahanam, how will you know it? So all the talking I did in the last 5 minutes was to show how everything that is Shabda also becomes Indriya Grahanam in time. Here, that's why both, he says. Yato vacho nivartante aprapsya manasa saha. You said that. You could not describe the Atma. You have said that. Sukhadibhyas tatha anyad tatvad dvaya vapi katam bhave. And not only that, by neti you have negated all your experiences, including your experience of sukha and dukkha. Because sukha and dukkha are two sides of the same coin. No? Therefore, even if I want to say it's something that I can experience, that is also gone. So those great modern teachers who present the whole thing as an experience, that's also gone. Why? It is other than sukha, other than dukkha, other than this, other than that. Anyatra dharman, anyatra adharman, anyatra kritat. Sounds familiar?
Yes.
Katha Upanishad.
Kathopanishad.
Yeah, because you are just doing it. 5 saal ke baad I'll check whether you will remember it. I think you will, because I drummed it so much. Yes, Kathopanishad. The evolved question of Nachiketa. Anyatra dharmat, anyatra adharmat, anyatra tat kritat. So it's all different from all of them. How am I supposed to understand something like this? Because all my experience are negated. My perception, etc. is negated, so no data available. And your Shabda, how can it work? It is as good as saying, what is Atma, Lodo Lodang. Mere ko kya pata? Because it has to be other than all the thing that you know. कैसा समझाएगा? Therefore, even the experience orienters cannot say anything. Why? Because he has negated experience also. Otherwise, they'll say, you can't know, you can experience. In fact, knowledge is the problem. Knowledge makes you function only at the intellectual level. You are not alive to what is. Idiot, when you are alive to what is, there is a lot of knowledge happening. Perceptual knowledge is happening. Without perception, how can you say what is? कुछ भी बक मारे. You will talk any nonsense, Yeah. It has to be experience. Experience what? The experience of nothingness. How can you ever experience nothingness? You are something. They will always be there. So all this nonsensical talk goes on. Kya karu? Yeah, some of those guys are doing good work in terms of yoga and things like that, in terms of environment, etc. I respect that. I'm negating only as far as Vedanta is concerned, okay? So be careful of that. I'm negating only as far as Vedanta is concerned. Their work on environment, etc. is very good. I respect that. Those things I respect. Yeah. Those things I respect. Then he says, alright, this is the condition.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
When we say that if anyone tells you that it is Anubhava Siddham, that is the reason they have to resort to mysticism, right?
Yeah. All your mystical approaches come only because of that.
From that. Thank you.
And really speaking, if you are a mystic, you cannot create another mystic. Because mystics have to be self-created. Otherwise, there is nothing mystique about it. If there is a teaching tradition for mysticism, then what is mystique about it anyway? Because you are communicating. No? Because you are communicating. There is a system available. And if there is a system available, what is mystique? There is nothing mystique. Because a system of communication, etc. is available. So what is mysterious about it? It is different from what normal things you do. So what is normal anyway? So it's very interesting. I was staying in UK with this couple. Okay. The wife is Indian, husband is German, who has spent years in India, so is very comfortable with the Indian food, culture, everything. Okay. So it was a Saturday, this thing. So in the evening, lady said, Swamiji, chai? I said, oh, sure. Normal Indian chai, no? I said, yes, normal Indian chai. And her husband is saying, what is normal about Indian chai? Why? First you put milk, then you put tea leaves, then you put sugar, then you put ginger, then you put cardamom, then you put some lavang, then you put some other spices, and then you boil this whole thing together. What is normal? Normal would be take a mug of boiling water and put a tea bag into it. That is normal. So, what I am trying to say is, when you say mystic experience are different from the normal, what is normal? What is normal? Yeah, tell me what is normal. Normal is this lady who is telling, is that vaccine from India? Then I don't want it. Why? It is universally valid vaccine. This is. No, I don't like things which are too spicy. What is normal? Tell me. What is normal? My niece, one of my nieces, when she was 16-year-old, we were celebrating Onam, okay? And my mom was alive that time, and my sister was there, all of us there. So I had dropped in for lunch to them. Because Onam festival in Kerala is really some great food, you know. So we had that food, etc. Great. All of us enjoyed. We hogged. Then she said, "Hey, tomorrow evening after class, come. Okay, there'll be I cooked so much. There's there for tomorrow." I said, "Yeah, of course I'll come. This is great food." So after class, I dropped in again. And this little girl, young girl, 16-year-old girl, saying, "Mom, I will make it myself, but can I have some normal food?" We are all Mallus, this is normal food for us, okay? I mean, it's celebratory food, but still normal. So I said, "Beti, what do you mean normal food?" "No, I want to make some pasta." So what is normal? When you say these practices are other than the normal, what is normal? I don't know. For me, they are all normal. Sometimes in summer, I will go and have a hot water bath. Why? That is normal for that circumstances that I am facing. And in winter, I will have a cold water bath. Normal. Why? Because of what you are doing. How do you decide what is normal? Normal is highly overrated. So just because the practices are different from what you think should be normal in society. Okay. Therefore, the Purva Paksha is very, very clear now. Okay. By words, you cannot communicate it in one line. So, close your books and go home. क्या करने का पड़ के? But he answers that, okay? अदृश्योपि यथा राहु चंद्रबिभ्रम यथाम्बसी सर्वगो अपि तथैकात्मा बुद्धादेवो सगृह्यते. It is very, very beautiful. अदृश्यः अपि येता राहुः चंद्रबिभ्रम यथा अम्बसी. He says, adrishyah api, even though it is not an object of your perception. Okay? The example I'll come to later. Sarvagaha api, even though it is all pervading. Tathaiva atmaha, buddhadau eva cha grihhyate. It is seen in the buddhi as I. So what is this big ignorance that you are talking about? Yata Rahu Ambasi, in the sky, how the Rahu Chandra Bimbam Grihati. How the Rahu seems to swallow the moon. What is Rahu and Ketu? Okay. Rahu and Ketu in Indian astrology are called Chaya Grahas. They don't have a reality. They are called Chaya Grahan. Shadow planets. All those who are dabbling with astrology remember this part, okay, in Indian astrology. Rahu and Ketu are shadows. Okay. They are the shadow of the earth on the moon. Okay. So they are all chaya. How the moon seems to be covered with ignorance. But is it really covered? Nah. It's just it doesn't have a reality. There's nothing covering it. It's just a shadow. Similarly, the ignorance that we have to be negated is just a shadow. It doesn't have a reality. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is like how Rahu and Ketu, if you are going by the stories, how Rahu and Ketu grasp the moon. Similarly, your mind can grasp this knowledge. Why? Because it happens to be the I. Even though it is not available for the sense organs. न तु आत्मा एकांतेन अविषयः अस्मत् प्रत्यय विषयत्वात्. Remember the sentence? न तु आत्मा एकांतेन अविषयः.